Okay, everybody, we're going to dispense with the pleasantries. I'll get into who I am and all that other stuff later if you don't know me, but I want to have some time right before this thing gets started to let you know why I'm doing this. I've seen a lot of the other reviews and commentaries of this thing, and I was born in 1978. I'm going to be 40 this year. I remember this like it was yesterday, okay? And they advertised the ever-loving crap out of this thing for 2 months. It was simulcast over 3 of the networks, and the 3 networks, and there was it was all advertising how it was these characters were all together, and it was just the shots of the characters interacting. There was no shots of the kid, no mention of drugs, none of that stuff. And for almost 2 months, I think, they were advertising this big thing. And we were all high on the world of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It seemed believable, the idea of having our cartoon characters all together, right? So, on the fateful day, April 21st, Saturday, April 21st, 1990, we all got up, my sister and I remember, we got up and we watched this thing. And we were hyped to see, it was on all the other channels. It was on, it was advertised, and it started. We saw this thing, and we were like, goody, yay, we were all excited. And then we saw this.
Cartoon All-Stars to the Rescue is the powerful story.
And it was just this record. Oh my God, what is...
And some of your characters will help you understand how drugs and alcohol ruin your life. So watch the program.
Oh, no. And this was... The thing that nobody talks about with this thing is that it was one of the most expensive, ballsy, and biggest bait and switches of all time, of televised history, certainly. We were so gung-ho to see all of our cartoon characters together, and watching it at this point on that Saturday, right now, like at this point in the story, we saw Kermit and we saw Pooh, and we're excited, but it's completely destroyed. It's completely sullied. It's like saying, someone telling us we're gonna get dessert, and then we get like, rice cakes or something. I mean, yeah, the Smurfs are in it and they suck, but and here's the thing, I wasn't, like I said, this was 1990. I was 12. My sister was 9, I think, when this came out, and we had to share the TV, so we were seeing this, advertised. I am amazed, by the way, that there are no mentions that I can find, and certainly nowhere on YouTube are there any commercials advertising this, because it completely was like, for 2 months, everyone was getting, so we were so excited to see this. And they showed us shots like this with Alf and Garfield and what we saw earlier, the Chipmunks with them and all the characters in this. And every shot that you see in here where there's multiple characters, you saw in these commercials. And it wasn't until right before it was about to start that they dropped the ball on us and said, yep, it's drugs and alcohol. And the worst part about it is that they could have given us some joy if they had waited for the big reveal, because the big reveal's coming up, that the older brother here is stealing from the little girl to pay for weed. And so we could have all been really interested in this right now and how it all is, if they hadn't put Barbara Bush and George at there. Just spoilers, this is about drugs. We could have had some fun, but we didn't. So this whole thing, it's like you're still eating your dessert, but it's not what you wanted. And it's kind of interesting because I was an animation snob even then, and yet there was a very a relatively high, relatively high. That's no. I'll be getting relatively high later. There was a relatively high number of cartoons on here that I actually did like, that I did watch. For example, the Alvin and the Chipmunks over there. But anyway, so now that I've run you through that whole thing of seeing them there. Yes, if you don't know me, folks, I am Trevor Thompson, the self-appointed Looney Tunes critic, and I do commentaries every Saturday morning of the classic Looney Tunes theatrical shorts. And I'm not the biggest fan of TV animation, and I watched Saturday morning cartoons with my little sister growing up in the 80s and very early 90s. And this was just, with the exception only of the Looney Tunes shorts, this thing kind of epitomizes to me the Saturday morning experience because it's so disappointing. And the stuff with bugs in it is really the only thing. Like I watched this like I watched most Saturday morning cartoons, just sitting there waiting for bugs to show up. My sister didn't. She didn't like the Smurfs, thank goodness, but there were some crummy cartoons that she watched that I had to sit through, and we waited for them. But I do remember liking Alvin and the Chipmunks because I had learned at some point that Alvin and the Chipmunks had been redesigned. Hold on.
My guess would be marijuana.
I just had to get Theodore on camera, or on the audio thing, saying marijuana.
Official highs.
You're acting really weird.
So yeah, he's I'd known that Chuck Jones had reanimated them, so for some reason I watched a lot of Alvin and the Chipmunks for a little while. I didn't like Garfield. I did like Pooh, and who doesn't love Pooh? I liked the old Pooh movies, and I felt like they did a good job. New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. They actually made Pooh kind of funnier. And I defy anyone to not like Muppet Babies. That is literally up there, that green onion head. They included the one thing that I hate, that I hated about Ghostbusters. Slimer. I hated those Slimer cartoons because they were trying to be like Bakshi's Mighty Mouse. So yeah, let's do this. This is the game. Because I'm watching this. It's a long thing, guys. It's 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever. So I got munchies here, and I got stuff to give me the munchies. So let me just pause for the cause.
Mikey, you gotta try it.
Because you're major high, like that. I'm in. Okay, I'll try it.
I'm gonna try and do this every time Mikey does it.
Come on, what are you waiting for?
Try it. You want him to like
They never say that this is crack, but it is crack. But that's kind of, look at that sign back there above him. That's the beauty of having an Asian crew. Sometimes they don't know or even care what our crazy alphabet looks like and says. It's like, just make it look like it is. Now this is where my duties as the Looney Tunes critic really do. I do have to get kind of serious about this now because steadily approaching is the Wabbit. So spoilers. This isn't a cop. It's actually Bugs. And I'm saying that sarcastic, like, of course you knew that. You all know that. Come on.
Do it again.
What's up, Doc?
Huh? You're not a cop?
Okay, you win. You got me dead to rights. I'm not a cop, I'm a rabbit. But just because I got long ears doesn't mean there's nothing in between them.
You were running from a rabbit? He's a cartoon.
Look who's talking.
So I never understood that. Well, I guess I did. I don't know.
A joint?
Okay, Bugs just mentioned joint, so that means I gotta do another pause for the pause, as in what Bugs has, PAWS. So this is the first time that Jeff Bergman ever did Bugs Bunny's voice. And in fact, I've heard, and I don't know for sure, so this is not confirmed, but I've heard that they started work on this when Mel Blanc was alive, and he actually got a script, and, there may allegedly be somewhere tape of Mel saying similar lines. Now, let me ask you guys this. Are some of you noticing the fact that I have... I mean, I don't want to brag, but get ready for me to brag. Have you guys noticed that I have the best quality version of this crappy special? Because I have to say it was not easy to acquire. And I need to bash somebody too. Well, it looks good, but it only looks good because I know a thing or two about restoring stuff. I got this. I got this version and cleaned it up, and obviously her hair, needs a little bit of work there. But I'm not talking about the crummy style either. But I got a hold of a decent copy. And, I made it a little bit prettier in terms of the color, and I'm a little bit sharper. But initially, I thought I was just going to do what many of us reviewers do. Get online and buy a copy, and like a digital copy somewhere. And I dug around for a little bit, and I found somebody that said, it was called RetroTVMemories.com, and they had this ad for it, and they were saying, I had extremely rare copy of Cartoon All Stars to the Rescue on DVD. Extremely rare, and I remember thinking, I think I read somewhere that. This was never officially released on DVD, but I was looking at a picture of the box, you see, on the interwebs, don't you know? And it was a picture of the box, and it said the words that I wanted it to say, which was, "You can have this thing you want for this money," and it did say again, "Extremely rare." So I bought the thing, and if it was extremely rare, I wouldn't have been able to buy it for $20. I should have known that. But basically what it was is that the guy found the best version available, just by Googling and doing some video searching. He found the best version available, which was on archive.org. And he put it, he basically burned it to a DVD-R and sent it to me. And yeah, I agree. That is extremely rare. There is nothing more rare than that 1 or 10 or 15 times that you made a DVD, burn on your desktop. That is rare, I gotta say. That's truth in advertising. RetroTVMemories.com, who, by the way, said that if I mentioned them and talked all this crap that they would sue me. And it's like, I don't think you're going to be suing my American ass, you Canuck. Yeah, but don't buy anything from those guys because, oh yeah, now we gotta hit it because they are hitting it, right? I want that pipe. Look how cool that pipe looks.
What are you, baby?
By the way, that's George C. Scott doing the voice of Smokey or whatever his name is. Now, do you younger kids know who George C. Scott is? No, you don't know nothing. Here he comes. I don't think that was George coughing, but I bet you youngsters know who that is, don't you? That's your Michelangelo.
Like you fell through a radical hole, dude.
But George C. Scott, who's playing the the bad influence here on Mikey. He's a great actor, you guys. He's an amazing actor, and probably best known for.
Don't do anything to your brain. Just make you feel good, right, Mikey?
Right. Whoa, dude.
I'm sorry, I keep missing him, but he's probably his most brilliant contribution to film, and it is a brilliant one at that. Was a movie called Patton. It came out in 1970. In fact, if all you you youngsters really know is like the Looney Tunes references, if that's our mutual area, then look at Space Jam, where Bugs is in that army uniform, and he's in front of the American flag, and he's rallying the Looney Tunes to play against the Monstars. That is what the movie's referencing. That's Patton.
Yeah, I'll say.
So that's what he sounds like here, and this is a clip from the intro to that movie and that scene that they are parodying in Space Jam.
Americans traditionally love to fight. All real Americans love the sting of battle. When you were kids, you all admired the champion marble shooter, the fastest runner, big league ball players, the toughest boxers. Americans love a winner and will not tolerate a loser. Americans play to win all the time. I wouldn't give a hoot in hell for a man who lost and laughed. That's why Americans have never lost and will never lose a war. Because the very thought of losing is hateful to Americans. All
right, that's the most. There's probably Trump supporters out there that hear that every day. So, I gotta hit it again because he's hitting it, right? Yeah, these are the rules, folks. Who can think in this mess? Some of us make videos for a living on YouTube, Piggy, doing this stuff all the time. Now, that wouldn't be me, folks. I do not yet make a living with these videos. But, what did you think of that? That was Patton. What did you think of that? That was a great movie. Yeah. This is where the song, if there is any redeeming value to this special, it might be this song. Anything that's actually genuinely entertaining in here that holds up today, it might be this song. It's by the Howard Ashman and the other guy who does it. Hang on.
Well, you look like three fine lads. You know, I might have something here you'd like to try. Something to make you feel real good.
There's a myriad wild and wonderful ways to say no. No thanks. No way.
Better learn a few and take 'em wherever you go.
No thanks, no sir.
If your pal says let's get high,
here's a practical reply.
Go ahead, let's fly, spit right in his eye and say no.
There's a myriad international ways to say no.
Those drugs are so boring.
All around the world, the smart guys are giving us dope.
I'm in dream for football.
People in they just say no.
And they tell me that works fine.
All right, well, Wikipedia is no help. But yeah, it's Howard Ashman and the other guy, his boyfriend.
I've got too much homework. It's wrong.
For my baseball game and I'll miss my ride.
My kid sister needs me.
Her hamster died.
I gotta say, it was this was the time when Jim Cummings started to do Pooh there and Tigger. He originally just did Pooh. Well, he didn't originally do Pooh, but he originally did Winnie the Pooh after Sterling Holloway died, and the originator of the voice. And that's him doing it there, Jim Cummings. But before that, on the show, Paul Winchell had been doing Tigger, who originated it. And I've never liked anybody else's version but Paul's. I'm a Tigger fan, man. I think bouncing's fun. I bounce all sorts of stuff. My boobs bounce. I bounce checks. Other jokes about bouncing. This animation is pretty goddamn solid, I gotta say. And it always disturbed me that, like, you know, Pooh is supposed to be a bear there, but, like, he still has, like, you know, can Michael see the facial reaction, you know? And does he, like, we missed it earlier, but he said when he was on the floor, you know, right before the song, he was looking at Huey, Dewey, and Louie. He's like, oh, man, I got to get off these drugs. It's like, yeah. If you've ever done drugs, you know you can see some stuff. I never known. What is that stuff in the box there? Oh, what's in the box? I've never. They show it a couple times in this, the contents of the box, and I think I've done every drug, with the exception of crack, that Mikey, is that his name? Does in this movie, in this special. And I don't know what any of that shit is. You see, drugs aren't your pal, pal. And I'm Alf. And people think that it's really interesting to do. But in fact, it's not, and I'm not funny. By the way, I've never done an impression of Alf before. That's the first time I've ever done it. I don't like Alf. I gotta tell you. I don't dislike Alf. But I never thought it was funny.
I know you told me to stay out, but Michael?
Yeah. So now we're at the point where I'm basically just watching this thing.
Who are you?
I wanted to say something also. We don't see much of the Alvin and the Chipmunk characters anymore, but I should have mentioned this earlier, but I found out just a few years ago, like, it was more than that, maybe 10 years ago, that Theodore was voiced by Ross Bagdasarian's girlfriend, Janice Carmenden or something like that. Janice Carmen. And Janice is in one of my favorite exploitation movies of all time, Switchblade Sisters. And she's also in a movie that I've never seen, or maybe I have. Hold on. Slumber Party 57. That does ring a bell. This whole sequence is bonkers. It's just batshit. And not in a good way. Not in a, like... Okay, let's just say it out loud. He's falling all through a carnival, and he goes into this one monster standee, but the monster is actually alive, and now he's in the stomach acids, and so are Piggy and Tigger, and they throw him a lifeboat that looks like a red blood capillary, and he flows down the river in the capillary, and somehow is now no longer in the monster, but back in one of the rides on so he got shat out, presumably at one point, and he keeps falling and bumping into stuff and changing sizes because he's big at times and he's small at times, and then he fell into the barrel, but he's normal size here at the barrel, and but he's in front of a giant faucet now, and there's Pooh, and he can breathe in this water, tunnel thing, which is actually Miss Piggy, and she's giant, and now he's not giant anymore, and he's somehow okay. So in this carnival, so he runs into the carnival to see the only other Looney Tunes character featured in this bait and switch piece of shit, Daffy Duck.
Come in, my fine young friend. Your future in my little crystal.
I think I deserve some kind of award for that, man. I'm gonna have to go through all these swear words, man. I don't usually f***ing swear so f***ing much on these f***ing commentaries, you f***ing f***s.
This is odd. The picture is very dark.
Alright, yeah, it's definitely Munchies time, folks. That's Munchies, folks.
That would explain the 7-10 split.
There. Now can you see my future?
Here's what's interesting about this. It's Daffy talking to Daffy. Because that's Daffy, as we all know, Jeff Bergman, but the kid is voiced by Jason Marsden, who plays the Daffy variant in Lunatics Unleashed. I remember his name because I don't care to.
This is my future?
It is if you don't get all
I still haven't done the. I'm working on a Lunatics Unleashed review, folks. I promise you.
What's up, Doc, is your life if you don't cut it out.
Yeah, so Jeff Bergman was kind of, since this was his first gig, this was kind of the first, it was thought for a little while around this time that he was going to be the replacement for Mel Blanc, in that he was going to be the next guy to do all the voices in the way that Mel did. But of course, we all know Mel didn't do all the voices.
Don't you ever do this stuff.
But you did it.
I was a dope.
I was a dope. You shouldn't enjoy the fruits of marijuana like I did for like a week. How he wasn't high for that long, was he? I mean, they showed him younger, but.
You don't have to quit on your own. Talk to Mom and Dad. They'll help.
Aww.
Listen to me, Mikey.
This is a real tearjerker.
Long enough.
That's some cool animation right there, right? There's some great poses with that Smokey character, but by and large,
He's right. He will try to come back.
When he gets here, we'll be ready for him. Right, guys?
Right!
I just happen to have a poster of all those characters there. I like how he's angry. He's angry at Pooh. He's like, damn it, Pooh. Oh, man. It's so weird. You don't know what's real or not. Let's go talk to Mom and Dad and tell them we got ghosts, hopping in and out of our posters. And yes, Mr. Disney was very hands-on with this thing. I guess that's why it looks as good as it does for television. And this is like I don't know how this song. Howard Ashman, yeah. See those guys right there? I don't know if they made this song for the credits, or it was like they didn't know where to put it and then they put it on the credits. Remember all those wonderful ways to say yes to marijuana and other great drugs. If you don't, I mean, I hadn't done any drugs when I saw this, but I will say this: it made me want to try them because I wanted to see all my cartoon. I wanted to see Bugs. I wanted to see Daffy and the real Tigger and Pooh. Anyway, you guys, thank you for watching. Click to subscribe. I do reviews, full-on reviews of Looney Tunes stuff, and I do a commentary of an old theatrical short every Saturday morning. So, come visit. All right, talk to you guys later. Puff, puff, puff. Puff, puff, puff. Pass that to the man on the right.